Welcome, West High Senior Class Pioneers. My name is Robert Shimonitz, and I have the pleasure of introducing you to your keynote speaker, Brandon Q. Brandon will be discussing with you the importance of overcoming the fear of failure. As a stand-up comedian, Brandon is no stranger to failure. Over the past 8 years, he has bombed in front of thousands, but he didn't give up. And by not giving up, he has become one of the top comedians in the Midwest. He was also nominated by the OEAA for Best Comedian in 2019. He is #1 comedian on the Bash in the Midwest. Before stand-up, though, Brandon sold books door to door for 8 years. And in those 8 years, he has knocked on over 20,000 houses, with 17,000 of those being failures. But over the 8 years and 200,000 salespeople in the company, he has landed himself an all-time number 34 for top sales. It is my pleasure to introduce you to one of my best friends, Brandon Q.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You're too kind. You guys are too kind. Thank you very much. Sit down. Sit down. Let's get this thing started. Come on. Thank you guys. How many of you here, by show of hands, are failures? Go on, raise them high. There's a failure. Whole bunch of failures over here. This guy, put your hand up. This guy's got failure written all over him. I see a room full of failures. And I love it. I'm excited. I'm extremely grateful to have the opportunity to speak to y'all today. I've had the opportunity to speak with young adults for over 10 years now, and I cherish every opportunity to do so. What I'm about to share with you guys today is going to have a lasting impact on the rest of your lives. And if it doesn't, well, at least it's going to have an impact on me, so screw you. But I think it will. I think it's going to have an impact on you. Because the message I'm about to deliver to you guys today is a talk on how to overcome the fear of failure. In doing so, I'm uniquely equipped to share with you some keys to overcoming the fear of failure. The reason I say I'm uniquely equipped is because I too am a failure. And not only am I a failure, I'm afraid of being a failure. I have fears. But it's not about not failing. It's about overcoming the fear so that you get the opportunity to fail. And when you get the opportunity to fail, it also gives you the opportunity to succeed. So what I'm about to share with you guys today are 3 keys to overcoming the fear of failure. Let's jump right into it. We'll talk about failure in a minute. But before we talk about failure, let's talk about fear. Crippling fear, fear that prevents us from doing something. Sometimes in a positive way, it can prevent us from going into a dangerous situation. Fear is not always a bad thing. So the first point that I want to share with you today is you need to understand the difference between A, rational fear, and A, rash. If you have a rash, you should get that checked out. Rob, is that right? Oh, there's a wrong one. It's understand the difference between rational fears and irrational fears. That's what it is. Rational fears and irrational fears. There's an infinite number of things that we can be afraid of. You can be afraid of endless things. We can be afraid of tons of things. You can be afraid of heights. You can be afraid of failing that test that you have on Friday. You can be afraid of the boogeyman grabbing you when you turn off the lights and you're running upstairs. That's why you sprint up and you high knee it up. You can be afraid. There's so many things that you can be afraid of. And some of these things are rational fears. Some of these things it's wise to be afraid of. And these are rational fears. So what rational fears are is things that you are justified in being afraid of. Your fear can prevent you from entering a dangerous situation. Examples of rational fears would include going into the lion's den at the Kansas City Zoo, jumping out of an airplane if you've got no parachute on. Go ahead, be afraid of that, man. Be very afraid. Lots of things that we can be afraid of. But how often do we run into these rational fears? Are you presented with an opportunity to jump out of an airplane on an everyday basis? For most of us, the answer is no. And see, the majority of our fears fall into this other category. And this is where it gets dangerous for your growth as an individual. And that's irrational fears. See, irrational fears are things that it doesn't make any sense at all to be afraid of. Now, in the moment, it might seem like it. And that's what you need to understand right now and be able to contextualize and internalize that there are going to be situations that you're going to run into in life where you're fearful. For example, that test example. Well, let's say that you've got to speak in front of the class. You got to do that book report. Whoop-de-doo, Basil. That's no big deal. You're afraid of the Ferris wheel at Six Flags. Get out of here, you wimp. You're a disappointment to your family. These are unjustified fears. Those are irrational fears. I want to share with you a story. Let's rewind the clock about 15 years, back when I was about your guys' age. I was in high school. To give you some context of Brandon Q in high school, I was not the tall, dark, and comedic man you see in front of you today. No, I was this tall, but I wasn't confident. I was a scrawny, couldn't look you in the eye, give you a dead fish handshake. I wasn't a cool kid. I was the kid who was tricked into drinking yellow Gatorade from a blue Gatorade bottle. But going back, I think it was maybe sophomore, junior year. It was fall, the leaves were falling, the school was abuzz. What was the big event coming up? None other than the homecoming dance. Everybody was pairing up, getting their dates. Oh man, homecoming dance, such a magical event. Such an exciting time, right? Get the opportunity to go with your special guy or gal. You get the slow dance opportunity, get your hands on those hips. Gotta be careful though, get a little too close, start to swell up, gotta back away, create a little space, Everybody wants it. You want to be on the dance floor at the homecoming dance. But in order to get on that dance floor, you got to get a date, right? And everybody else is pairing up. And me, I didn't have girls lining up at my door wanting to go with me. So I had to muster up the courage to ask someone myself. Therein lies the irrational fear. Am I right? But at the time, it seems like a very rational fear. So I had a special girl picked out. I had a crush on this girl. And I knew who I wanted to go with. I was getting closer and closer to the dance, and she didn't have a date yet. She was still available. So as people start pairing up, I start to see my opportunity that she doesn't have a lot of options. I didn't go to a massive school, but it took some convincing from my friends. I had to muster up the courage. How am I going to do it? I don't think I did it in the best way. I must admit, my method of asking her to the homecoming dance was via text message. In hindsight, maybe not the best way, but it's all I could gather up the strength. I would like you guys these days, I see these ways that you ask people to homecoming dance. It's very elaborate. Some of you guys have like airplanes that are flying through the sky that have the banner, and it's like prom or homecoming ? Or you're buying pizzas that you open up and it has it spelled out in pepperonis. Very elaborate in how you guys do it. Maybe that's how you do it. I don't know. It's been a while since I was in high school, but there's probably some of you guys at home that are like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But so I texted her. And it took a lot for me just to send that text message. And I don't remember how I typed it out, but it was something to the effect of like, hey, like, I don't have a date to the homecoming dance yet. I know you don't either. Would you want to go with me? Whatever it was. And it's like that fear is building up in that moment. Flip phone days back in the day. But I hit send. Took a lot of courage just to hit send. And then, that's the worst part after you hit send, right? It's the waiting game. You got to sit and wait. What does my mind do in that moment? It's rushing through all these possibilities. That's when I actually got more afraid, because it's like now you're vulnerable. You're waiting for the response. Seconds feel like hours. It feels like an eternity just waiting for that response. And I'm going through, and it's like I'm jumping to the worst case scenario. It's like she's showing her friends this. They're all laughing at me. I'm going to be the laughing stock of the school. I'm going to have to move to a new town. I started packing my bags. It was over for me. And then probably after, I don't know, like half an hour maybe, but it felt like way longer. But I finally got a response. You see that text message, right? Your heart just sinks. And I open it up, and what do you think she said? She said no. Ugh. Gut punch, right? She said no. Oh, she didn't just say no. No, she didn't just say no. She had to explain it. And here's her explanation. Again, I don't remember the exact words that she used, but it was something to the effect of, like, thanks for asking me, but me and some other friends, we're all going alone, and we're all going together. Which, did that make it any easier for me? It's like, not only does she not want to go with me, she would rather go with nobody than me. So it was brutal. It stung. I'll be honest with you. It was pretty bad. So I guess the moral of the story is, like, don't take a chance, because it sucks. It's terrible. Just stay in your bubble. Don't ever try anything. No, that's not the moral of the story, but I'm still a little bitter about it. No, I've gotten over it. I have gotten over it. But the moral of the story is it doesn't end there, because if it ended there, that would be a pretty bad story. But it's not about failing or fearing to fail, because in itself, that was a victory that I took a chance. I took that leap of faith. And it took me, I don't know, a day to get over it that night. I was kind of feeling down on myself, but eventually I got over it. And I didn't want to go alone to the dance, so I had to find another girl. And there was some other opportunities of girls, and so I mustered up the courage and asked another girl, and I asked her in person, and she said yes. Victory, baby. I got a yes. And it was easier to ask that second time. That first one, that was the toughest one. Because it's like, what is it going to feel like as far as that? If she says no, I'm afraid of that feeling of getting rejected. But see, when it came to asking the second girl, it was a little bit easier, because I made it through that first one and she said no. But the second one, if she said no, in my mind, it would not feel good, but I would survive. I would be able to get over it. So the point is that fear of failure, that irrational fear, is actually a good thing, because it builds up the strength and the tolerance, and you get stronger. People think that you get confidence from successes, and that's true, but I think you get more confidence and stronger from your failures. They galvanize you. They make you tougher. So it was a good thing. And so I'm very thankful that I got shut down, because every dance after that, all throughout my high school career, I was always able to get a date. Good, wasn't it? Heck yeah. All right, point number 1. That's 1. So we talked about fear. Now, let's turn our attention to failure. I don't know why I pointed at this guy, sorry. Let's talk about failure. Point number 2. The road to success is paved with failure. The road to success is paved with failure. What does that mean? What does it mean that it's paved with failure? Nobody gets to where they want to go if they have ambition and drive and want to be successful without failures along the way. Think about it this way. Think of your favorite movie. Think about any movie, really. Your favorite movie, your least favorite movie. Any movie you can ever think of. Are there any movies where there's pure successes throughout the movie? Any movie where it's pure successes, I guess that would be the failure in itself, is that there are no failures. Every character, every main character, every protagonist goes through some sort of struggle. Sometimes it maybe starts off great, they're experiencing success, they're on easy street, and then they run into some problem, some setback, a short-term failure, you could say. It without fail, it always happens. That's what, when I was a kid, I was always really frustrated with that, because I was like, man, this is a great movie. Everything's going along so smoothly. Man, it's great. And then they run into a problem and I got frustrated. But that's the interesting part about it. So the road to success is paved with failure. You're going to fail along the way. So don't be afraid of it. Embrace it. Get excited for it. Some of the greatest members of our society, some of the greatest humans in the history of the world with the best stories have had failures along the way. In fact, let me share one with you here today. I want to tell you about an individual that had some failures along his path to success. This man is very old right now. He's no longer with us. He has passed away. Since passed away many years ago. He lived in the 1800s. Back in 1831, he tried his hand in business, and he lost his job. He lost his job in 1831. In 1832, he wanted to run for office in his community in 1832. That didn't work. So he started a business and failed in business in 1833. So lost his job in 1831, ran for office 1832, failed, was defeated. 1833, failed in business. 1834, he actually had a success along the way. Boom, he was elected to legislature. In 1835, his sweetheart died. His sweetheart, his woman, she died. That's not necessarily a failure on his part, but I'm sure he felt like a failure, which led to, in 1836, he had a nervous breakdown. 1838, he was defeated in the run for House Speaker. 1843, defeated in the run for nomination for Congress. 1846, got onto Congress, he was elected, but in 1848, he was back off, he lost renomination. 1849, rejected for land officer. 1854, defeated in the run for Senate. That's a lot of failures here. Think about if he didn't want to deal with failures at this point, just giving up. Well, he keeps going, he keeps pressing on. Think of it as a movie, you know? He's going along, he's dealing with struggles. It's constant. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Sometimes it feels like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But time's going on, continuing along. 1856, defeated in a run for nomination for vice president. 1858, again defeated for Senate. Just going in circles at this point. Why not give up, right? And then in 1860, you guessed it, this man was elected the 16th president of these United States of America. Abraham Lincoln, that's right. He was a pretty successful individual in our time, was he not? Signed the Emancipation Proclamation, ending slavery in the United States. I'd say he had a lasting impact on our country, would you not? But if he had given up when he experienced the first sign of failure, where would we be today? So the road to success is paved with failure. It takes the failures to truly appreciate life's successes. It takes the failures. We need the failures. You need to experience those failures to truly appreciate life's successes. And in order to illustrate this point for you, I want to tell you guys perhaps my favorite story of the evening. I saved the best for last. You know, good things come to those who wait. You guys waited. That's my motto. It's also a big reason why I got fired as a lifeguard. They're like, save that boy, he's drowning. And I'm like, now hold off. Let's see how this plays out. But I want to take you back. Again, rewinding this, but not as far back as the other one. Let's take us back to the summer of '09, 11 years ago. I was a college student at the University of Northern Iowa, and I signed up for the summer internship with a company called Southwestern Advantage. And as our good friend Rob had mentioned to you guys, I had sold books door to door for this company. This was my summer job, and how I paid my way through college is that during the summers, I would go out. It was like an exchange program. So they would relocate you for the summer. So the Iowa students, we went down south. So in summer of 2009, I went down to Louisiana. Good old Louisiana. Now, I don't know if you guys have been down to Louisiana in the middle of July, but it is hot. Hot and humid. The nice thing about the humidity is if you get thirsty, you can just take an empty glass, swing it through the air, you got yourself a glass of water. But it was like 8 in the morning. I'd walk outside and immediately be drenched in sweat. So it was super hot. So I was down in Louisiana selling these children's books. So I was in a part of the country I'd never been before, doing something I had never done before, with people I had never met before. Do you think I was a little bit fearful of failing? And this is 2009, so think back. Before your guys' time, we were in the middle of the Great Recession. Everybody was losing their jobs, unemployment, housing bubble burst. Everybody's like, oh, you're not going to be successful. Who's going to be able to buy books? No one can afford them right now. But I was like, all right, well, this guy seems pretty competent, and he says I can do all right, so I guess I'll just do it. So I met like all the other students, and they'd be like, oh, hello, nice to meet you. Like, you're doing this too? Sweet, let's go. So we went down there, we'd stay with these host families. I was given a school district, and it was my job over the course of the summer to see every family with kids in school in this school district and approach them by knocking on their door, introducing myself, explaining the products. If they were interested and saw value in them, they would purchase them. That was how I made my money. We would do that Monday through Saturday. Sunday was our day off. We did that 12 weeks throughout the summer, so 72 days of selling. And let me tell you, there was a lot of failure. I failed consistently because it was a lot. If you've ever had a person come up to your house door to door, I would say that reluctant would be a good way to describe most people's reactions. Now, not too many people were outwardly rude, but it was a lot of door slams. It was like me, hi, are you the mom here? Door slam, okay, I'll go to the next one. Hello, are you the dad here? No, okay, next one. Hi, are you the dad? Oh, you're the mom? Okay, I'll be going. It was like that awkward moment there. They would like walk inside to avoid you and you'd knock and they wouldn't answer the door. Just a boatload of failure. My first day in the job, I had no idea what the heck I was doing. First day in the school district, I got lost. I knocked on one lady's house 3 times. And she didn't buy any of the times that I went there. I was just like a madman just running around. It was like a whole lot of like, hello, I have these books. Hi, my name is Brandon. I'm the educational consultant here in the area. Very uncomfortable at many times, but I worked hard. I persevered. I got started in the morning and I worked like a 14-hour day, just all day, just running, talking to people, trying to have a positive attitude. But it was a lot of failure, just like one after the other. Just going from house to house to house, just getting rejected consistently. I got done with that first day, and I will never forget that first day. If we had all day for me to talk to you guys, I would be able to walk you through from the first house that I went to all the way to the last one. And I got home at the end of the night that first day, just drenched in sweat from 14 hours, and it dawned on me that I didn't even eat lunch. I didn't even eat anything. I didn't even stop for 5 minutes because I was just so focused and just like my mind was all over the place. It was just like, all right, let's go to the next family, go to the next family. Not only did I not eat, here's the crazy thing. I don't even know how this is even possible based off the laws of physics. I didn't even go pee once. 14 hours straight. Didn't eat anything, didn't even go pee one time. Was just working constantly. But it got better from there. Like I got better at the job. It wasn't all terrible. There was some rough patches though, because a whole summer, 12 weeks, that's a long period of time. There was rough times throughout the summer when it got real hot. You know, the heat really turned up in July. I remember at one point I had a rough patch where I went 2 days straight we would see like 30 people in a day. So it was like 60 straight no's. Didn't sell a dang thing. I couldn't give these books away. And I remember it was like one evening when I was just trudging along. I walked by a bank, and you know how they've got like the bank will have like the sign that'll have like the little temperature on there. I think this was probably like 7 p.m. And the temperature gauge at the bank said it was 107 degrees, just drenched in sweat. Just no one wants to even talk to me. Oh, there was some rough patches in there. You feel like a failure in that moment? Of course you do. But it wasn't all bad. I don't want to paint this picture that it was just terrible, because there was some of the highest highs along with some of those lowest lows. Some of the highest highs. So if you would see 30 people per day on average, you'd sell like 2 or 3. I had one day where I had like 12 customers. It was like everybody was buying. It was like I couldn't get a no. It was like I'd be like walking by and they'd be like, hey, we want to buy those from you. Okay, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but that's what it felt like. It was awesome on some of these days, just having a blast. Some of my failures were not even within my control. I had driven a car down there. This thing broke down on me. It was going to cost like $3,000, which is more than I paid for the car. So I was out of vehicle. I couldn't afford that. I'm a poor college student at this point. Gotta get some wheels, baby. So I got a bicycle. Maybe I'm feeling good. I got the sale. I walk out ready to hop on my bike, and I'm looking at it and see, where is the bicycle? And I was like, I parked my bike out here, right? And she's like, I don't remember. And I was like, maybe, did I park out by the garage? We walked around to the garage. No bike. My bike had gotten stolen. I'm dealing with a lot of adversity at this point. But see, here's the thing. The story's not done. It gets better. But it got to a certain point where my mentality, I talked to some of the managers, and they were like, man, you have got like the coolest story going here. If you get to a point where you're embracing these failures and the adversity that you're dealing with. So it started to almost like be like a game to see like, man, I can't wait to like pile up as the story accumulates. And of course, how would my luck have it, my positive luck at this point, mind you, there was one night where I got home, I was beaten up, I was defeated, I was walking in, and we stayed in our host dad, or this old guy, we stayed in his pool house, so we'd walk around back and go through the gate, and walk to the little pool house, me and my roommate. I got home, it was pretty late, it was dark one night, and I'm walking in, going through the gate, and it feels like it starts to rain, like I hear like the water is like hitting the leaves on the tree, and I get some on me, like, oh shoot, I better get inside. And I see his dog. He had this like little dog that it scurried into the bushes, and I was like, oh, he's out, but he'd usually get out anyway. But he was like, oh, there's the little dog, and like he's gonna get wet. We gotta get inside. And then this putrid scent just comes into my nostrils. I'm like, oh, what is that smell? And after a couple seconds of breathing this, I realized that it was not raining, and that was not a dog. I had gotten sprayed by a skunk. But the positive in this situation, it was the end of the night. So although I did not enjoy getting sprayed by a skunk, I was able to go inside, take off all my clothes real fast, hop in the shower, get it all cleaned off. I had to throw those clothes away. But that's the adversity that you deal with. It's just all these things that potentially could go wrong, all these failures along the way, self-inflicted failures, screwing it up. You know, Rob talked about that 20,000 people that I've talked to in my 8 years of selling books, over 17,000 no's. That's a lot of rejection. That's a lot of failure that you experience, but it makes the successes that much better. So fast forward to the end of the summer as I make it through my 12 weeks and I'm going back to Nashville to the company to get my check for the summer. You know the story ain't gonna end in failure, right? Because it's not about where you start, it's how you finish. And out of 1,200 students, 1,200 first-year students that summer, I finished, as far as sales, most books sold, I was number 1 in the company out of over 1,200 students. And it's that story is made that much better, not because of the fact that I was number 1, but because of the challenges and the failures that you experience along the way. So the moral of the story is, again, going back to that point, it's not about the failures. In fact, the failures are what make the victories that much sweeter. 3 keys to success. 3 keys, internalize those keys to success when dealing with the fear of failure. Again, number 1, understand the difference between rational and irrational fears. Understand the difference and don't let those irrational fears stop you from proceeding anyway. Number 2, the road to success is paved with failure. And number 3, it's those failures that truly allow us to appreciate life's successes. Keep them in mind. So your senior year may not have been what you thought it was going to be. It hasn't finished the way that you had expected that it would. But the best thing you can do at this point is not dwell on what could have been. Don't dwell on the fact that you lost your senior baseball season, or you didn't get to touch a boob after prom. It's okay. Let's not think about what could have been, but let's think about what's going to be. Some of you guys are getting ready to go off to college, whether we get to do that this fall or whether it's a year from now. But you're going to move on with life, and big things are ahead for each and every one of you guys if you choose to pursue it. We've got college. Some of you are going to go out into the real world, get jobs, live on your own, make some real money, start families. Big things are ahead. So get excited. Get excited about failing. There's going to be failures along the way. So get excited about that. I'm excited for you guys. I would love to be able to go back in your guys' shoes and do it all over again. You're about to experience some of the best times of your lives. So get excited about that. Now I want to thank you guys for tuning in. And before I let you go, I've got a quick favor to ask. As a stand-up comedian, my job and our job as all stand-up comedians in this country and the world is predicated on large groups of people gathering in small spaces so that we can share the gift of laughter. And due to COVID-19, I had a pretty busy spring and summer booked out. A lot of shows all over the Midwest. And in just a matter of a few days, I went from full schedule to all those shows are gone. Now, we did the next best thing, and that's transitioned everything online. Unfortunately, as for comedians, the internet is free. And so if you appreciated the message and feel so compelled, I'm accepting goodwill donations via Venmo. You can find me on Venmo. My username is @BrandonQ. That's spelled BRANDONKEW. My profile picture is this face on a computer screen. So if you feel so compelled, we'd certainly appreciate it. Anything is helpful. And if you can't donate, additionally, well, even if you can donate and I love support. I love support and I love followers. So it'd also be great if you guys could follow me on all social media platforms. I'm on Instagram @tall, TALLDARK, tall, dark, and comedy, all spelled out. We'll put it in there visually. Tall, Dark, and Comedy on Instagram. I just got a TikTok too. So I've only got like 4 followers right now on TikTok, but I know you guys all love TikTok. Follow me on there @Tall, Dark, and Comedy. I just did the Naked Challenge, a YouTube channel, so you can subscribe. We'd love to have subscribers, like, share, subscribe to my channel, Tall, Dark, and Comedy. I really appreciate the opportunity to present with you guys. So thank you.